Mason Rudolph is not really a drop back quarterback, and he needs the run game to be effective. They need some play action to work.
I got all the reasons why the Buffalo Bills are going to be ripping down that steel curtain during this wild card playoff game.
Try to run the ball. That's the way they play. That's the way they have to play.
The first reason the Buffalo Bills are going to tear down the steel curtain is because of Mason Rudolph. He's more of a complement to this offense. They're going to rely on running the football with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Mason Rudolph is not capable of slanging the ball all around with the ball in his hands. He is not capable of single-handedly winning the game for the Steelers.
They need to be able to run. They need the game to be close or to be ahead, and therefore sort of manage Rudolph. Take some shots at times. Have the defense have to react to the run by how they align. Maybe it creates a one-on-one here and there. Rudolph is not going to be the reason that they win.
The other point I want to make with Mason Rudolph is that he's got a hot temper, and I think if we can get under his skin a little bit, I think it's just going to throw him off. They say the game is 90% mental. I think if we could somewhat frustrate him during this game, it could just be a snowball effect where we just keep getting after it.
Najee Harris, he's really been the foundation since Mason Rudolph has been the quarterback, probably about 70 times in the last 3 games.
Being that the Bills are at home, the Steelers are not going to be able to utilize a hard count, and we're going to be able to tee off on this defensive line. When they snap that ball, we know that ball's going to be snapped. Mason Rudolph is going to get teed off on. Guys like Greg Rousseau, A.J. Epinesa, even Von Miller getting in there, Leonard Floyd, hopefully he's a go. We're going to be able to tee off on Mason Rudolph.
Looking at the Steelers' backs, very different kinds of backs. Najee Harris between the tackles, pound out yards, and Warren's got far more explosiveness.
Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, iron sharpening iron here in Buffalo. We have James Cook, who's much more explosive and dynamic of a running back than Jaylen Warren. And we have Leonard Fournette, Latavius Murray. We had Damian Harris at the beginning of the year, Ty Johnson, to get us ready for Najee Harris. And just think about the running backs that the Bills have gone against so far this season. We've gone against some great running backs, and we've stopped them.
You could see him be a really meaningful part of the run game if the weather is as apparently predicted. But they've clearly committed more to the run game generally.
Fundamentally, the Bills have to stop the run. Plus, you couple that with them not being able to utilize a hard count, Mason Rudolph is going to be under a lot of pressure. I know a lot of us are concerned with the weather.
How much could that weather level the playing field for the Steelers in this matchup?
I would say meaningfully.
Kind of fitting what the Pittsburgh Steelers do, but we have to consider what the Buffalo Bills have done this year. And I think one key area that the Buffalo Bills have really done well that isn't being talked about all so much is our run after catch. You know, even Stephon Diggs with his run after catch this season has been really, really great. Khalil Shakir and just everybody in this game. The short, intermediate route tree for the Buffalo Bills this season has really progressed, as well as our rushing attack with Aaron Cromer and James Cook and this offensive line with Osiris Torrance, Connor McGovern, Spencer Brown continuing to ball out. This offensive line is doing some great, fantastic things. Plus, we paced Josh Allen throughout this year. It hasn't been until the last 5 weeks that Josh Allen has really been running it. So I would say at this point in the season compared to last year, Josh Allen is probably feeling fresher than he's ever had. The Buffalo Bills' third down efficiency on offense, we are number 1 in the NFL.
The soft underbelly of the Steelers defense is similar to that of the Dolphins, the linebacker level in the passing game. That says to me Kincaid, Shakir again, but they also use Diggs in the slot.
You could see Pittsburgh Steelers' third down efficiency defensively, they rank 21st in the NFL, in the bottom of the barrel in the NFL on third down efficiency, and the Bills are first. And I think that has a lot to do with our running game. It has a lot to do with Josh Allen running it. It has a lot to do with this intermediate, short passing route tree. It has a lot to do mixing between 11 and 12 personnel. Dalton Kincaid, a clutch factor for the Bills. Khalil Shakir, a clutch factor for the Buffalo Bills. We officially have other weapons other than Stephon Diggs. A lot of people upset that Diggs has not hit a 100-yard game in 11 games, but The facts are we have won 6 games in a row, and we have proven that we have additional threats to Stefon Diggs. Years past, they took away Stefon Diggs, and we didn't have an answer. But for the Bills to maintain the number 1 third down efficiency, even without Stefon Diggs, just proves that Josh Allen is capable of throwing the football even in cruddy weather. Josh Allen and his strong arm and big hands and taking care of that football in cruddy weather is definitely going to be needed versus the Steelers.
You're going to need to sustain offense. The last thing you want to do in a game like this, feel like you're going 3 and out and punting all the time.
This is one of the biggest advantages for the Buffalo Bills this game, especially if the Pittsburgh Steelers continue to run that ball and try to pound our defense. We're going to have long sustained drives offensively, giving much needed rest to our defense, winning that time of possession. So late in the game, we're going to be fresh and we're going to be stuffing that run. We have currently rushed the ball the 6th most this season in 2023. So it's not like we're coming out into this game without ever running the football and having to adjust ourselves for this game. The Bills have been running it the 6th most in the league. And you take a look, the Bills are averaging the 7th most rushing yards per game and the 5th most rushing touchdowns per game. Plus, with TJ Watt being out there, we spoke about the injuries on the Steelers side of the football. You could see that the Buffalo Bills still have the least sack quarterback, Josh Allen, meaning our offensive line has been the best in the NFL in pass blocking situations, allowing only sacks 3.98% of the time. And if Josh Allen, with the strongest arm in NFL history, can't pierce that wind or precipitation, which I highly doubt is going to be very unlikely, Josh Allen's going to be able to do that, the Bills still can rely on rushing the football.
Thoughts on Balin Spector? Strength is considered, run defense. Dodson can't go. He is the odds-on favorite.
And I thought Brownie, he flashed in the run game last week. I don't know what you thought. I thought he showed, and I noticed him immediately on tape.
And in my previous video, we discussed that the Pittsburgh Steelers are utilizing a lot of 3 tight end sets, especially in the running game, with their bigger physical style tight ends. Now, when you look at each and every single one of the tight ends here, Pat Freiermuth, he is at 6'5", 258 pounds. He's physical. He's tall. He could still receive it. Don't get me wrong, but he is a great, willing blocker and a guy that we're all somewhat familiar with, being that we were interested in tight end, the Buffalo Bills, this past NFL draft. One player that we were eyeing up was Darnell Washington, who's at 6'7", 264 pounds. Clearly an extension of this offensive line. He's got the body type of a tackle in this league, and we could see that they're going to be utilizing them in run blocking situations. And younger brother to Cameron Hayward, who's on that interior defensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Connor Hayward is also their next tight end. But when you take a look at Connor Hayward, he's only 6 foot, 230 pounds. More so has a body type of maybe a fullback, a running back. When they use these 3 tight end sets, yes, it sounds a little bit dangerous, especially going against a Buffalo Bills team, potentially without Tyrel Dodson, and maybe having a smaller style linebacker like Terrell Bernard. Bills might be forced to get into a base defense with Dorian Williams, who's also a little bit light and smaller, and also Balin Spector. Balin Spector, to me, is a little bit stronger. He's more physical than Tyrel Dodson. So if Dodson can't go and the Buffalo Bills have Balin Spector out there, he could very well flash and be a very under-the-radar player during this game. I think this is a game for Balin Spector to get the recognition that he deserves. In previous weeks, Balin Spector has gotten out there on this defense and has gotten the experience with Sean McDermott in a base-style defense, but it was with Terrell Bernard and Dotson. So we could see it with Terrell Bernard, Balin Spector, and Dorian Williams this game. And knowing that they don't really have that dynamic of a tight end receiving threat-wise, I know that Terrell Bernard, Balin Spector, Dorian Williams are going to be fully capable of covering Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington. It's not like these tight ends are going to outrun them. Steelers definitely have a great defense, but without TJ Watt, that is such a huge loss. NFL's sack leader in 2023 is not going to be there for them. Cameron Hayward is still a great player, but he's definitely getting up in age. Now you have some other players like Alex Highsmith that could definitely rush on the edge. But now the secondary of the Pittsburgh Steelers, we need to to take a look at here, like Joey Porter, Minka Fitzpatrick, even an ex-Buffalo Bill, Levi Wallace, who, may I add, Sean McDermott knows all of his deficiencies. Gabe Davis, who's going to be out for this game, completely shredded Levi Wallace in one of our past games, but they also have Patrick Peterson, who can mix in between safety and outside corner. Facts are the Buffalo Bills are still going to be able to utilize the run. We're going to be able to utilize a short and intermediate route tree. I think the Bills and Josh Allen could still throw the ball deep. These cornerbacks have no idea what the Buffalo Bills are going to present. We could utilize play action, which allows guys like Stephon Diggs a lot more time to create space between them and the defender. Plus, Josh Allen and his scrambling ability, his backyard football proudness, he can extend the play, allowing our wide receivers more time to get open. He is stuffing that run. The next reason the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game and tear down that steel curtain. How about Linval Joseph and Daquan Jones lined up right next to one another? What a freak show that is. Talk about a frozen snowbank. No plow was getting through that, I could promise you. Even James Cook catching the ball out of the backfield. Khalil Shakir, Deontay Hardy, Trent Sherfield having one of the best games of his career last week against Miami. We have a lot of threats. We have a ton of skill sets. And speaking of Trent Sherfield, his ability and willingness to block in the run game is definitely going to pay dividends for Bills Mafia. To me, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is a very strong physical style defense. They're not necessarily known for being elite in speed, and the Buffalo Bills definitely have a ton of speed on this offense. Between James Cook, Deontay Hardy, even Khalil Shakir, Stephon Diggs, we have some speedy guys that can get open. Dalton Kincaid is a very fast tight end for being a tight end, and I think we match up very well against these Steelers. Plus, you consider the relationship between Sean McDermott and Mike Tomlin. They have a great understanding of one another and what they're ultimately trying to do. Sean McDermott is going to have a wealth of information going into this game simply because he knows Mike Tomlin. Now, I know Mike Tomlin knows Sean McDermott, but I really believe our talent is much better than the Steelers. We're going to be ripping down the steel curtain here at home. Home field advantage for the Buffalo Bills. Maybe get under Mason Rudolph's skin. Stop the run so they can't utilize that play action. Get up by 2 or 3 possessions in this game. Force Mason Rudolph to try to keep passing the ball and feed off turnovers. This Buffalo Bills defense has been getting so many turnovers. Christian Benford, even Dane Jackson, a willing tackler against the run. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Taylor Rapp in this dime nickel defense. Taron Johnson too. And again, Balin Spector is going to blow up in this game. People are going to see him and be like, what? Another sleeper linebacker, just like Terrell Bernard. Well, guys, I appreciate you all so much. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think the Buffalo Bills are going to tear down that steel curtain? I will be live during the game, so I hope you guys all make a mental note. Consider coming to join me. It's always a party in the chat. Celebrate another playoff win here. Get us into that next round of the rodeo. Appreciate you guys all so much. Check the links in the description for the Buffalo Chicken Wing merch. We also have a certificate, an online certificate to land a 100% remote job. That's how I found my full-time job. It's completely changed my life. But you guys are all awesome. The Bills and the Steelers are here in some cruddy weather type situation, but we have every single piece to rip down that steel curtain. Appreciate you, and go Bills.